Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where today we are going to be talking about the Moonsilver Key and the Gatewatch's attempt to find it and the adventure they go on as a result.
Awesome.
So, to set the stage, you got Chandra, Kaya, Teferi, Adeline, Arlen. And these five, they're kind of going through this this whole deal, trying to get to Thraben so they can get the Moonsilver Key out of a specific, I guess you could say nobleman. It used to be belonged to a high-ranking church official before the whole place got messed up, right?
Mhm.
And so they are on their way to Thraben, and they're like, "Wow, that's a lot of zombies." And I mean, obviously, there's just a bunch of rotting corpses, so they smell terrible. And who do you think deals with these zombies, Joe?
What do you mean deals with them?
Who do you think is able to get rid of these rotting, desiccating, tinder box corpses?
Chandra.
Yeah, Chandra literally just blasts through a ton of them. And when they like just completely obliterates their path, they're heading for a place, the Betzold house, the Betzold mansion, basically. And there was a guy named Warren Betzold, and they're trying to find him. He was a bishop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as they're looking for him, they find his corpse. They find him shambling around, and he's actually like at a pulpit, and there's a crowd gathered there in the pews, and they're clapping and bowing and acting like they're praying. And so basically what we'll find out later that this is because Gisa just wants them to do that. Yeah. And so that it's just a mockery, basically. The entire place is completely unholy. And so Chandra gets rid of a whole bunch of them, right? And it's funny because this is from Chandra's perspective, this part. Adeline pulls herself onto her horse, a white stallion she probably named Thunderbolt or Lion Shield or something equally heroic.
So Chandra's like looking up to Adeline, just like, she's so cool.
So cool! And so basically, yeah, Chandra starts roasting zombies. Adeline's perspective, don't get on Chandra's bad side. But while that's happening, you also have, of course, everybody fighting the zombies. And it's cool right here. But it isn't until Chandra takes up the rear that Arlen feels any kind of safety. Two great sheets of flame fly from her hands, replacing the now fading walls of Teferi's magic with something far more solid. Even the dead fear fire, as Thalia had shown them all. You may remember that in the original Innistrad story, Thalia and Odric worked together to stop the initial invasion of Thraben by all those zombies by catching everything on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the same deal here. It's just that there's just a flashback to that moment. So they get through the church, right? Chandra's burning them off, Teferi's bumping them off, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And Arlen gets to the corpse, the bishop at the head. And she goes, and she shifts back to her human form. Warren, it's me. You recognize me, right? And then he goes, Danik. And she's like, Warren, we're looking for the Moonsilver Key. Do you know where it is? Danik. And she's like, the key. And he goes, Danik. And they're like, okay, sure. I guess that's that. We've gotten all we can out of him. And so Arlen lets out a little prayer, and then she kills the zombie. Mm-hmm. Right? So they realize that they need to go find Danik. Danik was the illegitimate son of the bishop, who had not been given any kind of recognition by his father, which he desperately desired. And shortly before they all met their untimely demise, Danik was given a shield by his dad that had the family seal on it. And so that was like the one thing that Danik could hold on to, was a chance at him actually being a proper Betzold. Make sense?
Yeah.
So they go to the Betzold home, and they're like, there's a lot of ghosts here. like an unusual amount of ghosts. And so Kaya's like, it's my turn. I got this. And so that's actually what the card Thraben Exorcism. It's that moment where Kaya's like, I know what I'm doing. All these ghosts, they're not going to be a problem. And she's got her glowing daggers and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It is worth noting that the artwork depicts her with her daggers. We are going to see whenever Crimson Vow comes out, what her new weapons look like, because depending on if they're axes or not, that will help us to determine placement-wise where this story, the Innistrad stories, fall in relation to the Kaldheim stories.
Okay.
Because if she has her axes in that one, that means this side art is just a misrepresentation of how she looks as a character. If she still has her daggers, though, then that means
before Kaldheim,
exactly.
She hasn't gotten them destroyed.
Exactly, and Tyvar hasn't given her what she needs. So, it's a possibility. We'll see. And if that's the case, then we might actually figure out why does the Phyrexians and all that stuff happen on Kaldheim. Because we kind of got thrown into the Kaldheim story without a ton of information for why Kaya's there in the first place. So
maybe at the end of this, somebody will hire her to take down Vorinclex.
It's possible. So, yeah, basically, Kaya goes in there. A few minutes go by. She opens the door. Room is clear. And so they go into this big room, and they find Dennick. And Dennick, in case you don't remember, Dennick is a ghost. And she goes, Dennick? Yeah, she goes, Dennick. Arlen goes up to him and is like, oh, Dennick, my name is Arlen Cord. I'm a friend of your father. She goes, my father? Has he sent for me? And even his ghost has the shield. Like, that's how strongly a part of his identity it was. She goes, your father's dead. Put him to rest myself. But you should know he was calling out for you in the end. Put him to rest. Does that mean he's undead? And she's like, yeah. So something you need something from you. He goes, oh, this isn't a social call? She's like, no, it's not. Please, if you know anything about the Moonsilver Key, Innistrad needs it. No, this and she explains everything to him. And he's like, most people want the key. I never saw it. I wasn't a real Betzold, my father said. And she's like, oh my gosh, this ghost why does he have so many hang-ups? He's a ghost. He shouldn't be worrying about anything.
Because I already hate him.
And so he's like, oh, right, well, I did some digging. I heard about it, and turns out we don't have it. My great-grandfather gave it over to a vampire for safekeeping. Isn't that silly? And Chandra's like, okay, which vampire? Will you let me rest if I tell you? Yes, please. The Markovs, Prince. Did my father say he missed me? And she's like, oh no, not Markov Prince.
Who says this?
Chandra.
Oh.
She's like, I had the worst feeling about this. And so they begin to walk towards Markov Manor. And they know exactly who it is that they are going to be talking to. And so Arlen and everybody is approaching. And it's cool because the Adeline and Arlen, they're the two that have been part of the Abyssinian church, right? Before everything went down. And Chandra, Kaya, and Teferi, they're strangers to this world. And what's cool is that Arlen, she sees a symbol attached, like just on the outskirts of where Markov Manor is supposed to be. She sees the Abyssinian symbol. And so it says right here, she sees it and she starts a prayer. Guard us through the night, O angel. And to her surprise, Adeline also joins her. Because Adeline's a Cathar, she still has that faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she says, guard us through the night, O angel. And then Teferi, with a slight delay, he follows as he learns what they're saying. Chandra joins in. She stumbles on the words a little bit, says it a little too fast, but she tries. And then almost as everybody's done, Kaya just sighs, and then she finishes up the prayer. And they all smile at each other, and they head to the actual Markov Manor. it's just a really nice moment because Avacyn's gone, but they pray to the angel. And for Adeline, it could be that she was praying to Sigarda because that angel is still around. But for Arlen, it's just part of like what gives her comfort. And the other three were just doing it out of respect, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they get to Markov Manor. And I like the fact that it talks about how people use the term, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And it says that people say that, but then those people have never been to Markov Manor, where it's a thin strip of rock leading into a place that would be intimidating in normal times. But now it stands over the mouth of a yawning chasm. And thanks to the travails, the bridge now floats in pieces. So you have to hop from piece to piece and hope it doesn't crumble when you land on it. And that some of the stepping stones themselves are just shattered Markov statues. So, and they get into the building, it doesn't smell like anything. Like there's no blood, there's no corpses, there's nothing. It's just sterile. It smells like nothing. And so they're all super on guard because they're at Markov Manor. But you remember what's at the front of the Markov Manor, Joe?
The Nahiri?
Yes, Nahiri had placed Soren into the wall. And then when War of the Spark happened, we didn't get any explanation for how he got out.
Uh-huh.
But they go past this outcropping of rock, and this says, well, I'll just say what it says. Where the others are sharp, twisted things, daggers aimed at an unseen foe, this one is an open wound upon the face of Markov Manor. Here, the gouges are worse than anywhere else. Concentrated in two long furrows on either side, the rim of it is likewise rough, the edges looking uncomfortably like they'd been chewed away. Splotches of dried blood only make the sight more gruesome. So, we now have our answer, Joe. Soren literally clawed and chewed his way out of the rock. That is insane. And explains why he was so hell-bent on just fighting Nahiri during War of the Spark. And then Kaya says, well, whatever it was, it can't have teeth. Not anymore. And so basically they go in and they go towards the throne room and they reach the throne room. And Teferi is one of the first people to respond, but they see Soren sitting with one leg slung over the broken throne of his house, reading an old unmarked book. Could be a journal, perhaps, which could be important later on. And so there's a hole in the ceiling that has a single ray of moonlight on him. So literally, Soren is sitting on his throne, leisurely, reading a book, and a single shaft of light from the sky spotlights his entire body, which I imagine must be dressed the same way it is in his Planeswalker card. So he's just like shirt open, billowing in the wind kind of deal. And what was I talking about? It says he doesn't look up at them, but Arlen can smell resentment coming off of him. State your purpose for disturbing me now, or I shall see all of you out. And Teferi's like, it's a pleasure to see you again. We have a small business matter to attend to. We'll keep it brief. I know better than to put any faith in your definition of brief. The reason, now. And they explain to him everything, and Soren's like, no. And they're like, what do you mean, no? We literally have been looking for it this whole time. And Chandra's the one that's like asking, like, what do you mean, no? And Soren just looks at her. And she's like, she just stops talking. And like, it says that there's something carnivorous to the way he stands, the way he casts the book aside, the steps and the posture, his hand resting just so on the pommel of his sword. I cannot expect someone so impetuous to understand how much I've sacrificed for this plane already. If my family so wishes to descend into the worthless hedonism of eternal night, then I have done enough to stop them. Let them feast. So basically, Soren has given up. He tried to keep everyone under control, but if the vampires really do want eternal night, if the vampires really do want to spend the next decade eating themselves to extinction, then Soren's not going to stop them. And basically, Teferi tries to appeal to that. Like, look, you're the only one that's been doing these things, trying to help people. Now we're trying to stop it. You can help us do it. Arlen here doesn't want to see eternal light any more than any of us do. And he goes, oh, is that so? Pray tell me what you've done for the plan. Go on, I'm listening. And he starts to approach them, and he takes out the sword, and it's like, ooh, and Arlen's ready to fight.
I bet.
And it's like, and then this is what's crazy. Arlen says, maybe I don't have your history, but the past few years I've been traveling the place, listening to people. I thought you'd understand better than anyone why humans need to live. I mean, you did, after all, make Ava, and then before she can even finish, he's swinging. And she actually gets struck. And like her arm, like she blocks it with her arm, and like the blood, just streak of blood, black vapor stinging her eyes. And she's ready to throw down. And Soren says that you aren't permitted to speak of her. And you have this fight. And obviously Soren is extremely powerful. He's probably one of the most powerful old walkers currently kicking around, thanks to Bolas and Ugin both being gone. Right? Mm-hmm. It's the main reason why Soren and Nahiri were able to just kind of ignore the carnage all around them, because the Eternals were literally not a problem for them.
It's like, hey, you see that giant alligator god? No, all I see is Nahiri.
And so Arlen is trying to fight against Soren, who's literally slashing at her with a sword, right? Mm-hmm. And then a single feather falls from the sky, golden glowing. And then his extremely valuable and expensive stained glass window explodes because a heron-headed scythe blocks Soren's sword. And he is furious because he looks up into the golden light that is now flooding into the throne room, and Arlen's breath just catches in her throat. Avacyn may no longer hear prayers, but Sigarda does.
That's awesome.
It's such a good entrance. We are 5 episodes in. We're halfway through the story. This is Sigarda's bit. Sigarda just bursts through the window and is like, I am here. Soren Markov.
There's no need to fear.
Yeah, exactly.
I am here.
And she says, how far you've fallen, carving your way out of the stone only to sulk. And then everybody else kind of realizes, wait, that was him. He was in the rock. We don't know what we're messing with at all. And what's crazy is that Soren then points his sword at at Sigarda, like he is ready to go on. What would you have me do? Since you clearly have all the answers, go on, explain. Either that, or throw your lot in with them and get out of here. And she turns to Arlen. It is your faith that summoned me here. The cause in your heart is just. You will find the Moonsilver key in Soren's personal chambers on the 3rd floor. Go. I mean to speak to him about his old creation. It's like, what?
Oh, snap.
Chandra just says, thanks, Sigarda, and then he just dashes.
Hello, Chandra.
And it's like, what? And then like, literally, Sigarda and Soren start to duke it out. And Sigarda tells Arlen, if you ever had any faith in me, you will go. And they find that there is a beheaded statue of Avacyn with the Moonsilver key inside of the little dome, because that was the Moonsilver key. And it's funny because in the end, she says they took the key, and then Arlen says that she made one last prayer that Sigarda will be safe and that they will make it back in time for Harvesttide. And she says that it's a strange thing to pray to an angel for their own safety, and stranger still to ask them to warp time. Nothing is guaranteed on Innistrad, but they will try to survive, try to endure, and look once more to the holy light of day. And that is how this story ends. We don't get a lot about Soren and Sigarda fighting, but we do get that epic just...
That's all I needed about Soren and Sigarda fighting. That was so cool, because I had seen it before, and I was asking Ricky, just like, why is this happening? He's just like, didn't see that.
I'm going to ignore that.
Oh, that was so good. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to go ahead and catch you guys next time with some more legendary lore. Don't miss it. We are on the Midnight Hunt. We got the main plot going now, so let's get back to that Harvesttide Festival. Go ahead and leave a like if you like the video, and subscribe to catch the next episode.